Hello, this is Olive Arden from Unlimited Bread Hits here with Felix Rabito on 90.5 WUSC. I actually found your song Animuse last year in my Discover Weekly playlist and had to make a new playlist because it didn't vibe with any of the other songs that I had. So it was like alone in a playlist until I found your other song Bread
Oh,
recently, like probably a month ago, and I recognized the album cover and I was like, wait a minute. And so I listened to it and I fell in love with it. And then I
thank you.
recently got into your 2020 EP, No Me
No me llores.
No Me Yours. And my first question is, during quarantine, since we've had like a lot of time on our hands, have you been baking any? And if so, have you been making any bread?
Have
Or
I been
what's your
making any bread?
favorite type of bread?
What is my favorite type of bread? Okay, so I'd like to start this with three ways.
Okay.
One, hi, Miss Kim and Mr. David.
I'm sure they say, hey, they're moved rooms, but they say,
Two, we can restart this and try again if you want. But maybe we're not, and so keep this in. That's how you know it's real. Three,
okay.
you have a wonderful announcer's voice. You're super pro. When you started talking, you like hit a gear, and I was like, whoa, I'm on the radio. And four, my mom has actually been super into baking recently, and so not but I've been witness to lots of baking. And she
Yeah,
puts all kind of weird things in it, like rosemary recently. I don't know if rosemary is weird. I don't know if I
it's
just
not really, it's more of like fancy. Like I feel like it's more of a cuisine type bake.
yeah, it's sophisticated bread for sure.
Nice.
Well, thank you for listening.
Of course, of course. So I know that you're from New Orleans, like born and raised, and that it's like a major, major influence on who you
Yes.
are and your music style. And I can definitely hear it with like all the jazz and like kind of soulful like sound of your music. But is there any like specific part of New Orleans or specific areas that really inspire you more than others, or is it just the people, atmosphere as a whole?
Yeah, that's a really awesome question. So I think this is like my coming out confession video. But I was actually, so when I was 14, I moved to New Orleans, but until then, I like lived in Covington, which is like a suburb to the north of the lake. And so all of my friends and all the times whenever I like try, I was like, I'm from New Orleans. They would all just like make fun of me beratedly. Nick Lamson, I'm directly talking to you. But so I think actually the process of moving to New Orleans is actually the thing that was most inspiring. So like growing up, I know you've done your research and watched that video with Adam and like growing up and dressing like Coldplay and like dancing around my
Revolutionary.
house. Yeah,
Mhm.
that was very different, I think, and that was that wasn't exactly what other kids were doing, and so I didn't necessarily feel like I could be myself, I guess.
Yeah.
But then so I knew all during that time that I like wanted to leave and I wanted to have a broader worldview and I wanted to go to school in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Um, and so when I started doing that, actually, so I went to a Jesuit high school in New Orleans. And while I think a lot of people see that as like a very constricting, parochial conservative place, and like as I learned more, I realized more and more how in a lot of ways it is. But for me, it was like a liberal arts like awakening, and I could do whatever I wanted. No one would make fun of me for being like loving music or whatever. And so like I started a club called the Odd Instruments Orchestra and was just really involved with that. So I think it was like just the mentality of acceptingness of the people there. And also just like a culture of creativity too. So it's like the big things that everyone cared a lot about were like jazz fests and like voodoo was a big thing that everyone went. Just kind of just like a music festival like any other. But like just the culture and the history of music and creativity was like really inspiring to be so close to that and want to contribute to that. And
Yeah.
also like I think because people kind of were open about art and like thought it was cool and stuff. Senior year, we would have concerts in people's backyards and in abandoned in lots and stuff.
That is so
people's
cool.
houses. So yeah, it was just a really supportive group of friends. I think it was more than anything my friends. And I think from living not in New Orleans versus living in New Orleans, there was like an openness to culture and to making things, and it's not weird or embarrassing to like
Yeah.
embrace this. So I think that's the biggest thing about New Orleans. But now, since coming back, a particular place. Now that I'm older, and one of my really good friends who has been my quarantine buddy, and if you see any of these like acoustic panels in the background, he's been building those and making those with me. And so we're trying to like turn this living room into a recording studio. His name's Mason, and he lives in the Bywater of New Orleans, which is like hipsterville. It's like where all the cool artsy people are. And when I went there for the first time, I was like, oh my God, this is like where all the cool people are. So I've been going to Rosalita. I've been going to the Bywater specifically every Friday. I go to Rosalita's Tacos with Mason after we have a jam session.
Oh my gosh.
That's a pretty not great answer, but pretty
No,
long answer. But
fantastic. Love that.
my friends, and then later on the Bywater of New Orleans is my favorite place to hang out.
Nice. So you're still living in New Orleans now, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I am. Yeah.
And is it going to be a permanent, or are you?
Yeah, I don't know. That's the big question. I was originally, before COVID, I was originally moving to Chicago with the
Wow.
guys in my band. But since COVID, everything kind of exploded. The band broke up. Now we're all in different places, which is kind of sad. But we'll see what happens when COVID's done.
Yeah. So I know that you were classically trained in piano with a lady named Mrs. Wally.
Whaley, she's my hero. Yeah, she's the
Do you
best.
still keep in touch with her? Like, does she listen to your music now, or how does she feel about where you are and what she really made?
Oh, that's a beautiful question. And I hope she's proud. I hope she gets for all the classical training. I think my music is like pretty simple considering, but I think she's really happy that I am still playing music. Probably. I remember when I sent her the songs off Bread, she sent me like a smiling and crying emoji.
Aw.
And it was like my single greatest reaction I've gotten to anything. I think I was like her only student that didn't read music. So there was battles there, but yeah, I like really love that lady. And actually on Gold, originally I wanted to get her to play cello on it just as like but it ended up not working. I was about to say she couldn't play triplets because I guess triplets don't happen in classical music very often apparently. So yeah, that was interesting to know because she's like a savant. She's like a virtuoso, but for some reason triplets weren't working out.
Oh.
But
Well,
yeah.
glad to hear that.
I guess don't put that in there. Wait, we can't play triplets. But
She can do many other things, like create wonderful artists. So
yeah,
and we're thankful for Miss Wally.
yeah, Whaley.
Whaley, not the robot, not Wally.
Well, I wish if Wally was my piano teacher.
That'd be awesome. But I know that you said that because of like classical training, you didn't really like it.
Mm-hmm.
Or you said in your 2017 WVFI interview with Adam, you said that you used to think music is for nerds. All I wanted to do was ball. So did you play any sports that you maybe prioritized?
Literally so funny. Funny that you asked that question in light of what I just told you. So if it looks like my eyes are bloodshot, it's because I've been like sweating into my eyes from riding a bike on a stationary trainer over there. So everyone, like I kind of said, so like in Covington, which is the suburb where I was like spent the beginning of my life, it was very much so like high socks, basketball, football, everything else is like not cool. Everything else is weird. And so I think there was, if I was like jokingly referencing that like archetype of like the high socks sport fight, like, you know, those power band bracelet necklaces or whatever.
Yeah, and they have like in the head armbands or like.
No, I don't know if this was. I think this. You might have been too young for this. God, I feel old.
Just a weird little.
Said that. But they're called like Fightins or something. So I joke with my best friend Georgie now. There's a picture of him like wearing one. It's just like this like faux science, like it'll make your balance better when you're playing
Ooh.
sports. And so all the kids wore them, and I always joke about seeing those and being like triggered or something because
Oh,
it was you. Um, no, but yeah. So as far as the man, and so the balling, I was very really bad at all ball sports, but I swam, which again, if I probably didn't help me in terms of being cool and fitting in. But I loved swimming. Um, yeah, it was my favorite. I swam. I was like probably gonna swim in college was my goal.
oh
So
wow.
it was, yeah. So if you ask anyone before college, what did Felix do? Most people would say swimming and not music. So definitely not like that anymore. But
And you said that so you went to Notre Dame
I
University?
did, yeah, in Indiana.
Nice. What was the
Yeah.
draw to that? Because I know you said that you really wanted to go to, was it UVA maybe?
I
And be
think.
in a Revolutionary War band?
Oh, yeah. That you're so good at that. Yeah, I did say that. That was one thing when I was really little. I wanted to swim at Columbia. Was in New
Oh
York.
wow.
Was probably what I was like was my thing, and it was my dream. And so I accidentally to Notre Dame. It was like a afterthought. It was like the very last thing I did, and my whole thing was like, I'm gonna go to Columbia and I'm gonna swim for Columbia, and it's gonna like be my thing.
Yeah.
And at the very like last hour, I realized that I submitted like the wrong, like I submitted the same essay 3 times to Notre Dame.
Oh my gosh.
And at that point I realized like I'm not gonna I'm not gonna get into Notre Dame. And like when that was like when I realized that, that's like when it hit me like how desperately I wanted to go there.
Oh wow.
Um yeah, so that was when I really realized that. And so that was a big thing that made me want to. And also in terms of why Notre Dame, when I went to the campus, it just felt like right. Everyone was so nice and everyone was so kind, and it was like the most like warm feeling campus ever. And then I also thought like when I graduate and I'm 40, like I'm a 40-year-old, and I look back on the person I became, like which person will adult Felix be more proud of becoming, like based on where he went, like Notre Dame or Columbia? And then it became super super duper obvious answer for Notre Dame. So
That's a really good way to like look at everything, like songwriting and life and wow,
yeah,
I like
but
that.
yeah. So I loved it. It was hard for sure, and it's not for everyone, I don't think.
Yeah.
But I I I loved it a lot.
They probably appreciated your perseverance and persistence. You're like, I'm gonna send it 3 times. Third time.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
that's
Three. I'm so confident about this essay. I will submit it for 3 different questions.
exactly. But so I know you mentioned Coldplay, and that was the concert that made you realize that like Chris Martin can have a lot of fun and can dance,
Yeah,
really make music something that's not like a like you have to do it. Like you need to train 5 days a week playing something you don't love. But like was that your favorite concert, or was it just the most eye-opening, or like who do you want
yeah.
to see after COVID?
Oh, that's an awesome question. Um, it was definitely the most life-changing thing ever. It is funny because like a lot of indie circles like hate Coldplay. They're like they make fun of people who like Coldplay, and
Yeah.
I know that, and so I can, no matter like how unhip it is, I will always love them. And to make myself remember, I have a gigantic Coldplay poster on my
Oh
wall.
my
So
god.
anytime anyone comes over here to like play music or do whatever, I'm like, just remember. if
This is
they
what it means,
it
though.
forces me to talk about it. Like I'll never be able to downplay how much I love Coldplay. So that started it for sure. I don't know if it was my favorite concert. I was really little. I was like 10 or 9 or something. So it really just what opened my eyes to music.
Wow.
And also all the YouTube searches after is like where I really fell in love with music, because like having seen this thing live and realized like how special it was, and then just deep diving into all of their lives and everything, and listening to all of the songs and learning all the songs. And
Yeah.
yeah, but after COVID, who would I want to see? Weirdly, so Briston Maroney is a random artist also
I
who
love
was,
him. Sorry.
yeah, so we were related artists on Spotify. I'm gonna sound like an old curmudgeon. We were like related artists on Spotify, and that's like how
Yeah.
I found his music. And so I've like DM'd him, and he was super nice. He was like, "Yo, dude, like, love your stuff." And then he's since become stratospheric because he's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And I like would love so much to see his show live. I think it would be so sick. Yeah.
I was talking to one of my friends about like this interview yesterday, and then Bristol Maroney came up, and he like saw him live, and one of his friends like dated him, and it was like full circle.
Yeah,
It's so cool.
I know, it's crazy. Yeah, he's doing really good stuff now. His music has meant a lot to me too, which I think is something that outside of all of the Spotify related artists and like none of all the people that I've like looked at because of in whatever way tangential, his music is like really meant so much to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't want to tell him that. I want to give him a high five or even just see a show.
So Bristol Maroney, Miss Whaley, uh what's his name? Chris Martin and MC Cunningham.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard you met her at a beach in Florida or on a vacation in Florida, and she was like, so I heard that she sang White Blank Page by Mumford and Sons, and
I
she
did.
was like, wow, you should really sing. Like,
Yeah.
the reason that you really chose to sing and then do other instruments rather than just piano? Or...
Well, definitely. I mean, I think all of the songwriting was something I didn't think I could ever do, nor was singing. And she gave me the confidence to do both, honestly. She like showed me that it's like not, it's like something that like normal people can do if they like work really hard at it. Not to say it's like, oh, she's so average that she can do it anyway. That's like not at all what I'm saying. I'm saying that she was like so amazing, but also so nice and supportive. And yeah, so she's definitely who encouraged me to do it. She's in Nashville now, actually, to plug her. She's in a band called The Dreaded Laramie.
The Dreaded Laramie.
Yeah, you should check them out.
Nice. So do you still like keep in touch with her a lot, or are you gonna plan on collaborating maybe?
Yeah, she's as band things and band, I don't want to say drama, but as like just things have happened in playing music, she's been a huge point of like consolation and advice because she's like lived a lot of the things that I'm experiencing and stuff from being a musician.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's awesome. I talk to her probably like once or twice a year. And it's always awesome. I think we were planning on playing shows or doing some type of tour together before COVID. But yeah.
That's cool.
I'll let you know. I'll let you know if we do.
Yes, please. But so I know that there's like triple threats, but you're more of an octo threat, maybe. I counted all the instruments, but so you sing, you play piano, ukulele, guitar, banjo, cello, and drums. So I like missed one. So you're like
I actually don't play cello.
You don't play cello?
No, I don't. I said that that's the instrument that I would be if I was an instrument, but I don't play cello. I just feel I wish I could take credit for that because it's the coolest instrument. But that's Nick Lamson is the guy who in our band always plays cello. So also plugging his music. He has music out there too. So
is it just by that name? Or is
it... I'll send you the spellings and stuff after.
Thank you. But so you have not almost every instrument, but if you could add one more, like if you could play one, would it be cello or would it be another one?
My real answer would be to stop being average at a bunch of instruments and just get really like get better at the ones that I play. But that's a lame answer. So if I had to add one, for sure fiddle, like violin.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the sound, the timbre, do you know what the word timbre means? Timbre is like tambourines have a cool timbre. No, timbre is like the quality of the sound. It's like the way a thing, like the fact that a piano sounds like a piano and a banjo sounds like a banjo.
Is it spelled like timbre?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I just always
timbre. Wait, it totally might be timbre, and I'm just made a fool of myself.
I like timbre better though. It sounds prettier.
So much, but that means a lot. But yeah, I think violin is the timbre or timbre of my soul. But I don't play that instrument, so
maybe one day add that to your caliber of instruments. So the other members of your band, like what roles do they play? Or do you even
Yeah,
have like, I know you're struggling to find a band title for all of you, because I know currently it's still under Felix Rabito. So have you come up with?
yeah, that's a really complicated answer. And I think before COVID, we were probably going to try to release No Mayores as just Saint Dismas, which was going to be the new band name. But with COVID and everything, and it was really unsure. And also, just for me, it was really important to follow up to Bread. Does that make sense? Like, I
Yeah.
feel like I released something else after being a ghost for 4 years. Um, so yeah, so that's why we did this split combined thing. Um, but yeah, so the guys that played on that record were Thomas Weiss, who is currently in Chicago. He's working for Precious Blood Ministries, doing like really dope service work for like those like on the fringes and margins of society and stuff. And he's like really part of a community. So that's super sick. He plays drums and also had the idea for the trumpet part on Cure and also does some harmony vocal stuff and also helped write Cure. That was a very super collaborative process. And
Wow.
then Josh, who is very much so like my musical soulmate in a lot of ways. It was just bouncing a lot of ideas off each other, and I feel like I can really just like get into a flow state whenever he's around, and it is really awesome making stuff with him. But he plays bass, um, and he's currently a COVID contact tracer for Latin, like Spanish community. So he's a Spanish, basically medical interpreter for COVID.
So is that what inspired No Me Llores, like the Spanish
Yeah,
title for it?
so interesting. Not interesting. Just so a big thing I think was a lot of there's an article that you can read if you want to. My favorite article of us. It's called like a flash in the pan. And the Felix, Tom, and Josh in the band with no name yet. It's
Oh.
by Ryan Israel. It's like beautifully written. He's so sick. But let's see if I have it. Ooh. So one day, so if you look through like pictures of Chris Martin, like in 2008 during the Viva La Vida tour, which I was obsessed, which was like the thing that made me love it. On all of his guitars, he wrote No Mayores. And it, for me as a little kid, it was just like really empowering thing to like read that somebody would like write something in Spanish and just
Yeah.
so there's just like a lot of emotions attached with that. And I think college was not to be emo, but I think just like a very college is a really hard thing, and you're just starting the journey, and you're starting it during COVID, so I can't imagine how hard it is for you. Um, but yeah, it is really great, but I think also times like very isolating in some ways,
Yeah.
and so I think turning to music and like rediscovering music's ability to like ground me and make me happy for itself was a big thing. And so one day on this, my dad went to a music store. It was after I hadn't seen him for a while because I was at Notre Dame and my mom and sister were living in New Jersey and my dad was in Louisiana, so I hadn't seen him for like a year. This is before he came back, and it was the first time I was seeing him in a long time. And he like went to a music store, and he's like, "What is the weirdest thing y'all have?" And they're like, "It's this thing." And so he's like, "I'll take it." And he brought it to me, and he was like, "Son, here's this instrument." And so you can all it's
Sounds like I'm on a mountain, like drinking black coffee.
so it only lets you play the happy notes.
Oh.
And so I thought that that was like a really interesting metaphor for like life and just this instrument's ability to like make me happy is that sometimes you just like have to choose happiness. You have to like choose to be positive and like not let yourself spiral and not let yourself like get discouraged and not let yourself focus on the bad things in the world and just like keep trying to generate love and stuff.
Yeah.
And at the very most minor chord this thing can make, it's still kind of like hopeful and optimistic.
Yeah.
So I wrote No Mayores on the back of it.
Wow. And that does mean don't cry in Spanish.
Don't cry for me.
I had to look that up. I'm like
Yeah,
fifth
which
year taking Spanish and like, still had to Google it. So
yeah, honestly, no shame. I totally I didn't know what it meant either until until this album. But it's also that last line of please is like don't cry for me. And so it's like a connection to that. All the songs have like connections to each other.
yeah,
If you ever want to look out for those, there.
I have, I've connected somehow.
Thank you so much. But so yeah, so Tom had all the recorded music gear, and one day he like just saw this. He said, "Dude, let's call the album No Mayores." And it just like was perfect.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of that album, my favorite song off of it is Cure. And that's like the
Thank
second
you.
one on the EP. But I know you repeat that I hate my name.
I do.
Name. You say it like 4 times. Like, do you actually hate your name, or what would you want to change it to if it wasn't Felix Rabito?
So immediately I changed my name to Falcon. That was stupid. That's like a fuchsia again. I didn't mean that. I don't believe that, but I said it. So we're stuck. I'm Falcon Rabito, and I am a falcon tamer. I'm a falconer named Falcon. But no, I don't hate my name. I think that meant that was more just referencing just like that as someone with like barely any like listeners really and like not much of a social media presence or whatever. I think that this is maybe sounds a little like weird to say, but I think the way that music was like becoming part of my identity, which I think is actually a big thing for like all social media too, because I think Spotify in a lot of ways is an extension of just social media. And the fact that like all of us to various degrees are famous and like need to have an image and need to be a certain way. And so I think that that's can be really like terrifying and hard and scary. So the I hate my name thing. It's like not I hate myself or I hate being called Felix. My dad's named Felix and so is my grandpa. There's like everyone's named Felix.
Yeah, some family drama in the Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
School.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah. If you say Felix, everyone like 3 heads turn. But that was specifically referencing just like the way that music was like becoming what was connected with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry for really deep emo answers.
No. It's raw. It's emotional.
Yeah, it's raw.
What we look for. But so for the radio station at WUSC, we all have different DJ and show names, and mine is Olive Arden, like Olive Garden, but my name's
That's
Arden.
so funny.
And then the show name is Unlimited Bread Hits instead of Bread.
Unlimited Bread Hits.
So I was thinking for your show name, I wasn't sure about the DJ name, but like the show name would be the Rabbit Hole. Like rabbit hole.
That's like, pretty good.
It'd be like the Mad Hatter or something. Like I'm the Mad Hatter and you're listening to the Rabbit Hole. It made sense.
I'll think about that, and I might look into setting up like antenna broadcasters so that I can run from my house now and see if I can start a radio station.
Yes, make sure it hits Columbia.
I'll make sure it's. I will.
That is so cool. But are there any other like, what's the main message you want to give or say or display from this EP? Like I know it's called Don't Cry, so it's more of like this troubling, uncertain times. Like everything will start looking up soon, or like just for the world, country, personal.
Yeah, that's awesome question. And thank you for asking that, because there was a super intentional thought with that too. Theoretically, there's a follow-up album, which makes it make more sense. But basically it was songs. Those songs were kind of just like diary entries, it felt like, from like some of the hardest moments in college and stuff. And so really what it was I think it's really easy to compare to other people or think everybody else has things more together than you, or maybe everyone else is doing better, which you're still a freshman and it's remote and everything, but maybe you feel that. And I think Notre Dame too, because it was a really intense place. Everyone seemed like everyone else had everything perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are just kind of like entries or reflections on some of the hardest points in my time there. And so they're kind of like diary entries to like show that people aren't alone, or like if you think that maybe Felix is cool and has it together, to just like definitively be like, I definitely don't, and it's definitely hard. And if you feel any of these things, like it's okay, and like give dignity to those. That was like Tom's wording. He's like, the album gives dignity to the harder moments in life and in college, and so that's why it ends with interlude, because yeah, it's typically interludes are in the middle of things, which it is. It's like the dark things and the hard things, and even just like being a musician on a college campus is like only the beginning of all the things that are to come. And yeah.
So do you have any future EPs or albums coming up, maybe in the near future?
Yeah, like 6 ones theoretically, but it's always like that. And there's always, so the way I think about music is like in concept albums. So I always have like things bouncing around my head that I'm thinking of. But yeah, hope none recorded yet, but I play music every day.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. And I know you were a psychology and theology and pre-med. You're kind of circling through those in college. Which one did you end up sticking to, and how does that lead to your job today?
Yeah, so I ended up dropping theology, even though I feel like in a lot of ways, not because it was like of the credit load, not because I lost interest or anything. And I felt like from all of my friends, I properly learned about theology from all of them talking and debating and thinking. And but I stuck with psychology and pre-med. I'm actually I work in a research lab that's an immunology lab, and among other things, it's basically it's a vaccine lab kind of. And so 2 projects I'm working on now are vaccines for antibiotic resistant bacteria, specifically Klebsiella pneumonia, and then the other one is COVID and synthetic antibodies against COVID. So that's the way that my science background is like translating into my life today, is that I work in a super crazy, high-powered, epic research lab. The PI, the principal investigator, the head doctor guy, so awesome. His name's J. Coles, and he
Does he tap on the
he's like J. Cole. Yeah, and he's really cool because he's like basically as famous and renowned as you can get as a researcher, while also being so cool and chill. And he has an awesome taste in music. He plays guitar. That's kind of how I got this job too, I think, is because of the
so cool
musical connection. So yeah, he has a really good taste in music. Like, he loves Wilco. If you know that. Yeah.
Love Wilco.
So that was inspiring, that I could do the pre-med thing and I could be a doctor, but also have cool taste in music and still be involved with music.
That is so cool. Well, do you have any other words of wisdom or announcements or feelings or anything to announce to our WUSC listeners?
Yeah, let me think.
big like request. You can take your time. It's okay.
I think
can you hear the sirens?
Just siren. I think just choose to be grateful for the things in front of you, and like really rejoice in like loving each other, you know, like really love the people in front of you. Like look around and realize that like it's such a gift. Like literally everything, every week, even like the hard moments are still a gift because they can grant wisdom and they just can help us love more. Yeah, everything is ordered to loving each other better. Just like love more and love, including yourself. Like love yourself, love each other, be happy. It's a choice too. Sometimes it's not. Seek help. Also, ask for help if you need help. That's my 2. choose to be happy, and if that's too hard to do, which it is, ask for help and love each other. Very inarticulate, very poor answer, but
no, it the message got across. So
Thank you.
so much.
It's also kind of what I want all the music to be about too.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. Well, thank you so much, Felix Rabito.
Absolutely.
Be sure to check out his No Me Llores EP and his Bread EP on Spotify, any streaming service. It is amazing, still one of my favorites, even after a year. And you have been listening to Unlimited Bread Hits with Olive Arden on WUSC. So thank you so much, Felix, again.
Thank you so much for having me. This was a blast.
Keep it locked here on WUSC-FM and HD1 Columbia.